Hey gorgeous, Sabrina here. Today's look and review video is featuring the new Urban Decay Naked Smoky palette. Just got this one in the mail the other day. I've had a little bit of time to play around with it and form an opinion on it, which I will be sharing with you at the end of the video. But first I will show you the tutorial to recreate the look that I'm wearing here. Rather smoky and appropriate. So I'm starting off here by applying an eyeshadow primer. The one that I'm using in this look is the one from Milani. And then I'm using a blending shade on my lid as a blank slate. This is MAC's Blanc Type. And the first eyeshadow from the palette I'm using is the one called Smolder. I'm applying this directly into the outer V of the eye, and I'm going to start to bring this up into the crease also. So blending along the socket line. And next I'm taking the eyeshadow Password, and I'm using this along the edges of where we applied Smolder there in the crease, lightly to blend out the crease towards the brow bone. So now that we have a really nice even blend going there, I'm going in with the eyeshadow Combust, and I'm using this to blend along the edges of where we applied Password, and blend this towards the brow bone. Now this eyeshadow doesn't show up on me at all, so it works really well as a blending shade. I mean, it shows, but it's not very strong, so it does really work to blend out other eyeshadows. And you can see the effect that we've created so far just with those three colors. So the next eyeshadow I'm taking is the one called Dagger, and I really love this color. It's a deep matte blue, very rich, very pigmented. I'm applying this onto the outer half of the lid, and I'm using the MAC 239 brush to apply this. I'm also taking some of this same color and applying it into the outer V. And then for the inner half of the lid here, I'm applying two colors, Slanted and 13. But first I'm going to apply Slanted. And applying it there, blending it into Dagger on the outer half of the lid. Then I'm taking the eyeshadow 13 and layering this over Slanted. Reason is because I didn't like how dark the inner half of the lid was. I wanted it to be a little bit lighter, and by layering that white eyeshadow over it, it just lightens it a little bit more. If you wanted to leave that color by itself the way that it was before, you could absolutely do that. And then I'm taking the eyeshadow Black Market on a small smudging brush and using this to line the upper lash line, and I'm pushing this into the lash line. And then for my brows, I'm using the MAC Brow Fluidline in the shade Redhead, combined up with the MAC 266 brush. Now that my hair is more red, I can wear this color a little bit more easily than I would have been able to before. And for my lashes, I'm using a stacked pair. Both of these are from inkyminky.com. This is Doe-Eyed and Just a Touch that has been stacked on the outer corner to give it that little flip there. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, why do you do your eyes first and your face last? This is why right here. I have tons of fallout underneath my eyes. I don't know if this is going to come across on camera, but what I like to do is take a makeup remover pad. These are the Almay ones. Absolutely love these things. And I will clean up underneath my eyes before I apply the concealer and the foundation. And this gives your face more of a flawless look. For my face application, I'm first applying the MAC Prolongwear concealer. Also applying my green color corrector to cancel out the redness that I have. And this is from Graftobian. Blending all that in with a beauty blender. Isn't it funny how just a color corrector and a concealer can entirely change the way that your face looks? Crazy. I'm still going to use a foundation though. I'm using the Chanel Perfection Lumiere today. I have been loving this stuff, so I went out and got a full size. And I'm blending this into the skin with the MAC 128 brush. And then with the natural bristle side of the 128 brush, I'm using some of the MAC pressed powder here and setting the T-zone. And now that I have the face completed, I'm going back and adding some mascara onto the lower lashes. I'm using a little sample here from Chanel that they recently gave me. I've really been liking it. It doesn't flake or smudge in the humidity. So still testing it out, but so far I like it. Makes those lower lashes look long too, doesn't it? I'm going in with Laura Mercier's Wild Bouquet, and I would best describe this as a light neutral pink. real light. Goes great with smoky eyes. And then for my lips, I first lined them with the MAC Staunchly Stylish Prolongwear lip pencil and filled them in with MAC's Myth lipstick. And now for my real thoughts about this palette. It comes with 12 eyeshadows, 7 of which are matte and 5 are more of your glitter-packed shimmer eyeshadows that we all have come to expect from Urban Decay. When I first got this palette, opened it up, I was really happy with the color range. I thought, wow, there's a lot of really beautiful eyeshadows in this palette. Urban Decay did a really good job of putting these together. They are rather dark, but I was expecting that solely based on the name of it being a smoky palette. So that really didn't faze me. But once I started using the eyeshadows, I started to feel like they were all pretty much the same color, especially when it comes to the eyeshadow Smolder. This looks like a really beautiful purple in the pan, and when you swatch it, really pretty in the swatch too, but it doesn't show up like that on your eye. It shows up more like a gray. And you saw that in the tutorial today. Really disappointed by that because I was hoping the color would transfer to my lid like it looked in the pan. And if you use some of these colors in the palette that are close to each other, the look does tend to become one muddy mess by the end of the day. That has been my experience with this palette so far. Not too happy about that. On another note, I feel like the eyeshadows in this palette are way too similar to some other eyeshadows that I have. I feel like this would be a really easy palette to dupe. So I don't feel like they are as unique as I originally thought when I first opened up the palette, and I've just not been blown away by it the more that I've been using it. So sadly I was disappointed by this one, and I don't really recommend getting it, especially if you already have the Naked 2 palette, because I feel like that palette has a lot of grays, neutrals, blacks, silvers, and this palette pretty much has the same thing all over again. At least when you try to apply some of these eyeshadows that look like they're colored, they come off as that gray shade. So I give this palette a big thumbs down, and I don't recommend getting it. I would say save your money, get something else that you might be interested in, especially if you already own the first 2 or 3. Well, no, the third one, but if you own the first 2 Naked palettes, this is not really one to add in. Just my own personal thoughts on the subject. If you picked up this palette and you have a different opinion than mine, or if you feel the same way I do, please feel free to share your opinion on it below also. Would love to hear what you think about the Naked Smoky palette. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.